from the heart.
Hello and welcome back to Horror from the Heart. We're on episode 30. And oh man, I can't believe I've already gotten 30 episodes gone and passed through. Wow. As always though, I'm Josh. And if you listen to my previous episode, I did sit back and say that this time I'd probably talk about horror in anime. Now, I'm well aware that anime is something that is not something that everybody really gets into. There's quite a few people out there who do get into anime, and there's quite a few people out there who don't get into anime, and that's, I know, because the connotations that are out there associated with, the anime community are not really all that great, because we see the pictures and the cringy videos and things like that are out there. But for those of you who are actually taking the time to listen to this because of the fact that they like listening to me droll on about things, and if you're one of those people who are not into anime, I would, sit there and say, hey, give it a chance. Give this a chance at least. Because for people who are into horror, and especially if you're one of those ones who gets into animation and stuff like that as well, because that's technically what anime is. It's just animation. It's just made in Japan, But the thing about it is that if you take the time to go actually look into the anime stuff that's out there, you'd find that there's actually quite a bit of horror stuff out there with some really, 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 really great stories. I mean, hell, we got movies that have come from Japan that have either been remade into, American versions of it. And it's not to sit back and say all of them are great or anything like that by any means, but we did end up getting some pretty good ones. I mean, hell, The Ring. Look at The Ring. That was freaking great. Well, at least the first one was. But they did really good with it. Or The Grudge and things like that, too. We took some Japanese movies, made them into American versions of it with English and everything like that, and they turned out pretty good for the most part. But as far as like the anime stuff, they're not over there redrawing cartoons to put back out there. But anime is one of those ones where it's a very diverse kind of area. And horror's actually a pretty big one that's out there, just with a lot of the stuff that they have. Now, I could sit here and just prattle off a whole bunch of different animes and stuff like that that are within the horror genre, but I'm not going to sit there and just go off and on, about a whole bunch of that, but I will talk about a few of them. Like, for me, one of my favorite ones that they have out there, and it's only got like 2 movies to it, is Vampire Hunter D, which is about a Dhampir. If you don't know what a Dhampir is, half vampire, half human. But the stories that they present with that are absolutely phenomenal. I mean, hell, they'd even do books and stuff like that too, which have some really, really great storylines to them. But it's like set in the far future too at the same time, but it's not like over the top, oh my god, I can't get into this type of animation or storylines or anything like that. It's very subtle, and they actually have some really good, strong storylines to them. And then it falls into the horror area simply because, we're sitting here talking about vampires and monsters and things like that, just with that. But then if you really want to get into some actual, like, gruesome type of stuff, there's other things out there like Wicked City. Wicked City is one of those ones where it's like, it's very weird and obscure, but it's definitely within the horror realm, just simply because of some of the monsters that are out there. But then you have other stuff that's out there that's even like series and stuff like that. So if you're one of those ones where it's a very subtle genre that's out there, or subgenre basically, where I've talked about like the whole horror and romance type of thing, because that's something that you don't see very often, honestly. There's actually one out there like Vampire Nights, that's one of those ones that it mixes that whole romance and horror type of element, So if you're one of those ones who likes to get into Twilight or, or things like that, that would actually be one of those ones I would sit back and suggest about checking out. And what's really great about it is the factor of when you're checking out the horror anime that's out there, you're getting visuals that you wouldn't normally get with a movie, because there's really no restrictions on what it is that they can come up with or design, because the production value is different compared to actually doing movies. Now, some of them are a bit goofy. I mean, hell, there's tons of them that are going to be out there. They're going to be goofy because look at just the horror movies that we have in general. You know, we have some really goofy, cheesy B flick type of stuff, and then you have people who are trying to be cheesy B flick that are just absolutely horrible. I mean, I'm one of those people where I love cheesy B flick horror movies just as much as anybody out there, but we do have some ones where it's like that was just bad, and you guys were trying to be at least cheesy B flick. I mean, you got movies like Shark Exorcist out there, or House Shark and stuff like that, where it's so stupid. You're just like, oh my god, what the hell did I just watch? And I would honestly sit back and say, even within the anime area, you do tend to find stuff that's out there that's like that. Now, it's not as saturated. I would definitely say it's not as saturated as the movies are with just downright stupid stuff like that. You know, and I'm not putting the movies down when I say stupid. I just mean more in that aspect of like, you that would be one of those ones where you would sit down with some alcohol with friends and just tear the damn thing apart just for fun because it's that kind of movie. Now with anime, I don't know if you'd do something like that, but they do have some stuff out there. I mean, hell, especially whenever you take some of the animes that are out there and they take them from the Japanese language and transfer them over into English dialogue. There's a series out there that, I mean, I think, if I remember right, it only did like one season. But they took the Japanese audio, which was very serious in tone and had the whole entire script going and everything in a very serious manner. And when the English cast got it, they were like, you know what? Screw this. We're not going to do the scripts. You know, we'll kind of touch on the scripts, but we're not going to really do it. They kind of ad-libbed almost everything in that, and it's ghost stories. And it makes it great because it deals within the horror community, but it adds this, I mean, like fantastic, and I mean fantastic comedy element to it, simply because the cast decided they didn't want to go follow off the scripts. And that one, I would definitely suggest that one if you're into crude humor, for sure, because it is, and don't be offended by stuff because they have some absolutely obscene jokes that are in there, but it's great and it's hilarious. But it definitely follows into that horror realm because it's dealing with ghosts and demons and things like that. It's just, I would say, more in that horror comedy type of genre that's out there. But I would definitely suggest taking the time to check into a lot of the anime that's out there because, like I said, there is quite a bit. And this is one of those ones where I say I mean, unless you're in the anime community or you're, you know, from Japan and you get to, you know, see all this kind of stuff, that would be one of those ones here in America, at least. I would say is very untapped as far as people who get into horror in the horror community because there are some genuinely great series that are out there as well as movies that are out there. Just simply because the body horror. So, like, if you're into Cronenberg stuff, you know, with the body horror stuff, anime is going to be like right up your alley when it comes to that because they have tons of that and it's very visceral in a lot of the ways that it's presented, and they have some absolutely phenomenal stories that are out there. I would never say that any of those are genuinely like in that scary. So if you're looking to sit down and get freaked out and scared about, you know, whatever it is that you're into on the horror side of things, anime is probably not that thing. But if you're just there for the horror element, definitely go check some of these out. You can just research, you know, hit the Google up and put in horror anime that's out there, and you'll find tons and tons and tons. And, you know, it's one of those ones where definitely, like, I'm going to stress it so much, definitely worth the look, for sure. I know I've just kind of, like, repeated myself over and over again, but I can't stress it enough, honestly. Anyway, well, here we are at the end of the episode. If you're listening to this on podcast, by all means, give me a follow. Leave me a little review if you can. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, the little notification bell so you know that I put out something every single week, as well as put out videos every single day. And I'm also on TikTok as well, putting out daily horror facts, so you can find me over there too at Horror from the Heart. For now, though, thank you for taking the time to listen to me drone on and on almost every single week. Well, pretty much every week about horror stuff, because I love the hell out of horror. And apparently, if you're listening to this, you probably love horror too. Thank you again, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode.